Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking the idea of wealth creation, which, let's be honest, usually feels like this overwhelming, totally abstract concept, and we're turning it into a concrete, step-by-step roadmap. If you've ever felt completely stuck, working incredibly hard but just not seeing any real financial progress, this blueprint to your first $10,000 is exactly what you need. Our goal today is to break down this journey using clear, totally actionable insights straight from our source material.
So, $10,000. Why are we so focused on this specific number? Well, our source emphasizes that this first 10 grand is absolutely the hardest psychological milestone you are ever going to hit. Honestly, forget about trying to make millions right out of the gate. Thinking like that is just paralyzing. Hitting 10K changes everything because it proves to you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that making money is a learnable skill. It's not just a stroke of luck. And once you finally crack the code on that first 10 grand, scaling up to real, life-changing wealth, that really just becomes a matter of repetition.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our roadmap today is broken down into 3 super clear phases. 1, earn. 2, scale. And 3, multiply.
All right, kicking things off with phase 1, earn. Specifically, the 4 paths to profit.
And this brilliantly illustrates your options when you're starting from absolute zero. Look, the source makes it very clear. You've got to strip away all the noise. Ignore the crypto hype, ignore the day trading. You need a reliable daily cash vehicle that puts money in your pocket right from day one. The author actually started right up at the top with in-person services. They needed cash fast, so they literally walked around wealthy neighborhoods offering to wash cars. But here's the clever part. They only targeted houses that had pristine, perfectly tidy gardens. The logic was, if the owners are that obsessed with their lawn, they're definitely going to pay for a shiny car in the driveway to impress the neighbors. It's a brilliant, high-speed way to get cash, but obviously it has low scalability because you're physically limited to your local area.
Moving down the list, we get into products. Now, the author tried local products first. They built and sold these intricate model RC planes at a weekend flying club. But man, it was a total grind. High effort, and the cost of materials just ate up all the profits. So they pivoted to global products. They actually flew all the way to China to partner with a manufacturer and sell those airplane designs worldwide. But as they discovered, even with global reach, you suffer from what's called trapped profits. Basically, you're constantly taking the cash you make and immediately reinvesting it in inventory, stuck in this never-ending 1 to 3 month cycle of restocking just to keep up with sales.
Which brings us to the ultimate winner for generating that initial 10K. Physical products? They might net you a 20 to 30% margin, which, again, usually has to be reinvested right away. But online services, we're talking things like video editing, copywriting, or running digital ads. These offer a massive 70 to 80% margin, and that goes straight into your pocket. It is the absolute sweet spot. It perfectly combines the massive, limitless global reach of the internet with the immediate cash flow you get from providing a service.
So, you've got your service. Now we move to phase 2, scale. Let's look at the 10K skill pyramid.
Once you find that sweet spot, a service that overlaps with what you're actually good at, what you enjoy doing, and what genuinely solves a business problem, you have to scale it. Because you do not want to be a freelancer stuck working crazy hours at the bottom. The 10K skill pyramid is how you transform a basic high-income skill into a true, reliable $10,000 income. And it requires mastering 4 specific elements: positioning, leverage, reach, and automation.
Step 1 is positioning. Basically, you have to move to where the money is. As our source points out, businesses think about money entirely differently than you or I do. A business pulling in $50,000 a month will happily drop $2,000 to solve a problem, especially if it helps them make even more money. So, say you're a copywriter. Don't position yourself as someone who just grinds out cheap blog articles for pennies. Reposition yourself. Offer to optimize landing pages for established, successful entrepreneurs. It's literally the exact same skill, you're just positioning it where the big money is actually flowing.
So, the crucial point is really perfectly summarized in this quote. Businesses don't pay for effort, they pay for results. And that brings us to element 2, leverage. Listen, you will never hit that 10K milestone if you're just trading your hours for a fixed rate. Think about it. When you charge by the hour, your client's only goal is to keep your hours as low as possible. But if you shift your mindset and charge based on the direct return on investment you provide, like if you can prove your social media strategy brings in actual measurable leads and sales, they completely stop seeing you as an expense. You become a profit-generating asset to them, and they will gladly pay you significantly more for that.
Element 3 is reach. You really shouldn't be spending all your time endlessly chasing down clients. You need to make them come to you. Our source shares this amazing anecdote here. They were looking for a graphic designer to make these cool movie-style posters, so they searched TikTok. They ended up finding a designer who was totally dominating the search results. And get this, he was just posting his work for fun. It wasn't even a business yet. But because he put his work out there for people to see, his videos went viral, his inbox got completely flooded with inquiries, and he literally had to set up a legitimate business just to handle all the inbound clients knocking on his door. The big takeaway? Always document your work online. Make them come to you.
Finally, we have element 4, automation. Did you know 95% of side hustles fail early on? It's true. After hiring countless freelancers, the author realized the one common thread of failure was just missing deadlines. Reliability is honestly your best asset. The most successful people out there don't rely on messy sticky notes or pure memory. They automate. The source highlights Odoo CRM, who sponsored their original content, as the ultimate tool to automate this whole process. It remembers your client interactions, visualizes your expected revenue, schedules your calls effortlessly, and ensures you literally never drop the ball or miss a deadline.
All right, we've made it to phase 3, multiply, making your money make money.
Now, the source issues a very strict warning here. Until you have at least $1 million in the bank, do not waste your earnings on supercars or flashy designer clothes. The wealthy simply don't see income as something to spend. They see it as a tool to make more money. Let's move to and see how this builds across a comprehensive investment timeline. This is the risk scale, starting from the absolute safest asset classes on the left, all the way over to the highest risk plays on the right. And just a quick reminder, I'm impartially sharing this educational strategy directly from the source, so this is definitely not financial advice.
At the absolute lowest risk level, we have what they call the 3% safety net, high interest savings. Now let's be real, a 3% return isn't going to make you incredibly wealthy, but that's not the point. The point is keeping accessible, liquid cash on the sidelines. Imagine the market suddenly crashes and you desperately need cash for a personal emergency. If all your money is tied up, you are first to sell actual investments at a massive loss. Having this cash buffer prevents you from locking in terrible financial decisions just because life threw you a curveball.
Stepping up a level, we have index funds. These are essentially baskets of top-performing stocks that let you own a tiny piece of the entire market. The source notes the S&P 500 index fund has averaged over a 10% return over the last 10 years. To put that into perspective, by investing just $5 a day, literally the price of your daily cup of coffee, into an S&P 500 index fund from age 18 to 67 at that rate, you could retire a millionaire. It is the ultimate low-maintenance wealth builder. The source also briefly highlights some alternative total market ETFs like VTSAX, VWRL, VOW, or VFEM, just depending on what region of the world you're in.
Moving a bit further up the risk scale, we reach individual stocks. This is where you directly engage the market. The massive benefit here, especially when you're starting with small amounts of capital, is that picking individual stocks actually motivates you to learn. You learn how to read a company's financial statements, and you get direct exposure to specific businesses. If this kind of hands-on approach sounds interesting, the source mentions that platforms like Trading 2on2 offer fractional shares. You can even use the code TILB, which is a great way for beginners to get started with very minimal cash.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the final, most volatile step on the scale, cryptocurrency. Instead of treating this like a casino and gambling on hype-driven meme coins where, let's be honest, many people lose absolute fortunes overnight, the source takes a very calculated neutral approach here. It's called dollar cost averaging. This just means investing a set amount of money on a regular schedule, completely regardless of the price, into established assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. You build your position slowly, and you only do it with money you can completely afford to lose.
And there it is. We've completely stripped away the noise. You've seen the 4 paths to earning, you know the pyramid to scaling your value, and you understand the risk scale for multiplying your wealth. The entire blueprint is right here in front of you. But knowing the path and actually walking it, those are two very different things. So I'll leave you with this. What is the high-income skill you are going to master this week? Pick your path and start building. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to see you conquer this 10K milestone.